I'm so privileged to be able to give her this welcome. Morag has been a part of my career since I first came into this industry. So this is just kind of a bookend for me. And for some of you that know that, like she was there at the beginning and she's there for me at this point. So Morag, I'm so happy to have you. And please, everyone, please help me welcome not only a friend and mentor, but an amazing woman.
Thank you. Imagine for a moment that you're one of my 3 teenage sons. It is 2:02 on a Wednesday afternoon, and you're about to come home from school. You explode through the front door, backpacks hit the floor with a crash, and without missing a beat, you fling open the fridge and bellow, "What's for dinner?" It would appear that my superpower is invisibility. And so from across the kitchen comes my exasperated reply, "What's for dinner? You can smell it through the whole house." The mac and cheese is in the oven, all golden and crispy on top, and here I am, apron on, looking like a domestic goddess from the Great British Bake Off. Okay, I'm exaggerating just a tiny bit. The apron, fictional. Domestic goddess, purely aspirational. And let's face it, mealtimes with 3 teenagers, less baking show and more Hunger Games. But as you and they take a seat at the table, it begins. The daily ritual that parents around the world inflict on their children, that every teenager endures with their own exasperated sigh. The 3 questions my parents would ask me, and the 3 questions I would ask my boys every single day. So join me. I believe you've lived this moment from both sides of the conversation, so I want you to shout out your answers. Ready? How was your day? What did you learn? Do you have any homework? No. God. Okay. That settles it. You've all been living in my house. And that's funny until you realize that that empty ritual isn't just happening at our kitchen tables. It's happening at our conference tables and in our one-on-ones. This is disconnection masquerading as connection. And so this afternoon, I'm going to show you how to close that connection gap with a simple framework that turns empty rituals into meaningful moments. But first, at work, that empty ritual has become a syndicated show that I call connection theater. We turn our cameras on, mostly. We deliver our lines, aka our status reports, missing the opportunity to connect not just on what we're doing, but how we're doing. Come to think of it, when was the last time somebody asked you, "How are you?" and actually waited for your answer? And when we don't ask, "How are you?" we start to make assumptions about our colleagues, to write stories. You appear distracted, clearly disengaged. You're not giving it your all, clearly not committed. And when our boss doesn't ask us, "How are we?" well, we start to feel that they don't care, that we don't care, that we feel taken for granted. And so we lean back, adopt a good enough mindset, and down we go. The disconnection spiral tightens its grip. And the irony, we're caught in it together. And this leads to 2 questions that I hear everywhere I go. why don't they seem to care? Swiftly followed by, how do I get them to care? But what if the story we're telling ourselves is not the full picture? What if it's not that our colleagues don't care? It's just that they don't feel connected to the work, to each other, to something or someone that matters. I was invited to speak at a sales kickoff event earlier this year, and I could see that the executive team had reached that point. Their heads were down, phones were out, faces bathed in screen light, not in sight. So I called an audible. Let's put the phones away and try something completely different. In their case, the new assignment was a team challenge involving spaghetti, marshmallows, and a side quest to write me a poem. Now, to be clear, no executives were harmed in the completion of that activity. Their heads came up, and one of them actually revealed a hidden talent, songwriter. So writing a poem, piece of cake. The thing was, when we returned to the business agenda, everything had shifted. Their passion, their energy had returned, they'd reconnected. Now, that wasn't magic. That was intentional connection breaking the spiral. But even with intention, without attention, the best of us can drift. Quick round of applause if you, maybe today, no, if you in the last week have been in a meeting or at an offsite and your mind has started to wander. Go on. See? We've all been there. Maybe you're thinking about the endless to-do list back at your desk or your next client call. Perhaps you get your phone out and start to scroll for best mac and cheese recipes. And the result, not just a connection gap, a connection chasm. And once we're in it, everything becomes harder. Decisions become 3-hour committee meetings. Our best ideas languish in the draft folder. And the very work that used to excite us doesn't. It's not that we don't care. It's that our calendars are triple booked, our phones are always buzzing, we're always on. We're literally drowning in communication, but starving for connection. So, how hungry are we? Well, more than 1,000 leaders have contributed to our research at SkyTeam by completing their ally mindset profile. And the results are devastating. 1 in 5 leaders tell us that they feel disconnected at work, that they have no meaningful relationships, no coffee buddy, no conference wingman or wingwoman, no one to DM on Slack during that next mind-numbing meeting. And is it any wonder when half of those folks then tell me that in the last 7 days, no one has checked in on how they're doing, just what are they doing? Look around this room at the people sitting near you. That 1 in 5 statistic means that someone at your table, keep looking, maybe it's you, keep smiling, is feeling that isolation right now. The thing is, disconnection and disengagement, it isn't about distance from others. You can be sitting on your sofa at home surrounded by family. You can be in a coffee shop with friends. You can be in a conference like this with 500 of your closest work buddies and yet feel profoundly alone. You can also be thousands of miles apart and feel closer than ever. This is my best friend, Pam. She lives in England, and our opportunity to sit on the same sofa is somewhat limited, though we will actually be doing that next week. And yet, every time we talk, whether that is side by side or through technology, it feels like no time has passed at all. Why? Because we care about how we're doing, not just what we're doing. Contrast that with the CEO who sought me out after a recent keynote to share, I have 11 direct reports and 500 people in my organization, but no one who wants to have lunch with me. Well, that's not leadership. That's solitary confinement with better Wi-Fi. Loneliness and disconnection, it isn't about distance or a lack of people. It's a lack of feeling cared for and connected to the people around us. And as leaders, loneliness can sneak up on us when we are so busy showing up for everyone and everything else that we lose sight of ourselves. Maybe you've felt it. If you've got up at 4 a.m., those early birds who put your hands up early, crazy people, to get ahead on the day. Maybe when you've left the office and yours is the last car in the parking lot. Or maybe you've cancelled plans at the last minute because something came up, and as you're sitting there thinking, just one more email, you've failed to realize that it's already tomorrow and gone midnight. I'm coaching the CFO of an engineering firm right now, and she confided in me last week, I spend more time with spreadsheets than I do with people. It's efficient, but lonely. Efficient, but lonely. That breaks my heart. Too many leaders still wear the "it's lonely" at the top like it's a badge of honor, but I can tell you it's not. It is not a rite of passage. It is a warning sign. And do you know who needs to heed it the most? You do. It is the high-performing leaders and managers like you who are burning out the fastest. And when you do, it's not just you that suffers. Disconnection bleeds into our teams, into our projects, into our lives, undermining trust, confidence, and momentum. It's the hidden crisis of our time. Leaders are both the cause and casualty of disconnection. So what's disconnection costing us? Well, according to Gallup, it's costing US businesses $406 billion a year. And globally, closer to $9 trillion. Those numbers are mind-boggling. They are huge. But this is why this matters. It goes way beyond lost productivity. This is more than just spreadsheets and profit margins. It's about the lost potential. There is a personal and professional tax that we are all paying. Loneliness and disconnection impacts our health, increasing heart disease, stress, and anxiety. The previous Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, likened it to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, you might tell me, I don't smoke, or I never inhale. Well, guess what? Your nervous system isn't buying it. We are, as humans, hardwired to detect social isolation, and when we do, our body responds as if it's a threat. Disconnection, it clouds our thinking, it shatters our confidence, and it derails performance. And disconnected leaders, they create disconnected teams. And disconnected teams, well, they don't innovate and they don't collaborate. Disconnection squeezes results, relationships, possibilities. Whereas connection breaks through those log jams, ensuring that everyone is moving and shaking. And connected teams are 23% more productive with 15% lower turnover. Dramatic pause. My granny's having a fit right now because I'm not using a glass. Love you, Granny. All right. Now, you might get away with surface-level relationships when everything's humming along. But when the going gets tough, whether that's life and death decisions by my healthcare clients, a systems outage, a data breach, just a missed deadline, then connection becomes not a luxury, but a lifeline. Let me show you what that looks like, not buttoned up for the boardroom, but dressed in steel-toed boots. They don't come with sparkles, but they do come in all sorts of fashionable colors nowadays. Our client was an oil and gas company, and they were experiencing a spike in accidents. They'd called SkyTeam in to help turn things around. To be honest, I think they were expecting more checklists. Instead, we gave them something that felt a little riskier. A safety leadership program that we designed not around rules, but around relationships. And we took that workshop out into the field where work crews, roughnecks as they're called, had worked together for years, sometimes decades. They weren't strangers, but they'd never really connected. So we gave them a space to share their safety stories, and some of them were horror stories, and also a space to share what coming home safe would mean for their families and for them. Now, at first, these work crews were hesitant, a little self-conscious, but by the end, not a dry eye in the house. And it was a few weeks later when Dave, one of the most senior, most experienced site foremen, took me aside to tell me his story. Picture the scene. He's driving back on site, and there is a newbie, a rookie as he called him, trying to fix the light in the yard. The rookie is at the top of a ladder that's leaning against the lamppost and balanced on the bed of his truck. And the light, yeah, geez, I heard that. And the light is still out of reach. Dave told me that the old version of him would have gone into the site hut and just said, "Have you seen what that rookie's doing? Contractors, not my job to babysit." Instead, he said, having heard the stories about what coming home safe would mean, he got the rookie down, they went and got the equipment, and they fixed it together, and they fixed it right. We didn't change the rules. We changed their relationships. And within 6 months, reportable injuries went down 18%. Better connection creates better teams. Better teams drive better business, and better business, well, that results in better lives for everyone. Now, you may be sitting there at this point going, okay, Morag, come on, happy hour. Connection, engagement, we get it. We've been trying to tackle this for years. And you have. Organizations have thrown the kitchen sink and occasional kombucha fridge at this. Let me guess what you've tried. Let me see. Annual engagement surveys, followed by crickets. Ping pong table that nobody can use because the balls went missing. A fancy coffee machine, fancier than this one, but a fancy one that needs a PhD in engineering to use. And our latest fix for human disconnection? You've heard about it all today. It's artificial intelligence. Now, I know you've just had a demo, but how many of you are active users of ChatGPT or another AI tool? Yeah, I'd be shocked if you weren't. Claude and I had what I thought was a close working relationship. Turns out he's been close to all of you too. But here's what might surprise or even shock you, but again shouldn't. HBR, the Harvard Business Review, recently published an article that listed the top 10 uses of Gen AI. The number one use, not productivity. Not coding, I heard it from the front row here, the #1 use for generative AI is therapy and companionship. The headlines this week was an AirTag equivalent of friend. People are literally turning to technology, to artificial intelligence, to find meaning and purpose and for emotional connection. So while we're celebrating a digital revolution, we're quietly engineering a relationship recession. We've been confusing metrics for meaning. We've been confusing presence for connection. We've been confusing results for engagement, tackling the symptoms of disengagement, but ignoring the root causes. Well, newsflash, low engagement is not a problem that we can solve with surveys, stuff, or software. But we kind of knew that, didn't we? And yet we keep pretending that everything's fine. When I ask leaders, how are you, and actually wait for their answer, what do you think the most common or frequent reply is? Fine. Maybe I've led the witness a bit. Fine, followed by busy. Well, these are polite deflection at their finest. And being British, I should know. I am schooled in the fine arts. Queuing, get to the back, drinking tea, and the art of the understatement. When I say it's not ideal, what I actually mean is, what a bloody disaster. And fine is British for, everything's on fire, but not to worry, I've put the kettle on. But this gap between what we say and what we mean, it's everywhere. The problem is that at work, I'm fine isn't harmless deflection. Fine is a 4-letter word, and it's what your high performers are saying just before they update their LinkedIn profile with the help of ChatGPT and leave. And I get it, because as leaders, we're taught we're supposed to show confidence and composure at all times, and therefore to admit anything else feels risky. And so I'm fine becomes the mask we all wear. But the problem with that is the self-protection only guarantees mutual isolation. And when we wear that mask of fine, the underlying emotions of stress, anxiety, burnout, they don't fade. They ferment. And the pressure continues to build until something gives, as I know from painful personal experience. I remember that it was a glorious day. The sky was impossibly blue, the mountains looked photoshopped. I should have been outside enjoying the Rockies. Instead, I was inside, glued to my desk, and I'd had better days. My calendar was a hot mess, back-to-back everything, no room even for a bathroom break, and I work from home. And this had been going on for weeks. But I kept telling myself, keep calm, carry on. Turns out I was gaslighting myself. But that's what we do, isn't it? Soldier on, pretend, all while telling ourselves the biggest lie in corporate, that things will get easier next week, after our vacation, when this project ends. And when it doesn't, we double down on fine. And so that's what I was doing. I was fine to my team, fake perky on the Zoom calls, and hollowed out every time I hung up. I was overwhelmed, overbooked, and over it. And then I felt it. Maybe you've felt it. The moment when I hit the wall. I remember I pushed myself back from my desk. I went downstairs and I just collapsed into a patio chair. It was the summer. And I was looking up at the sky. I had no purpose. I had no plan. I felt like a failure. I was just done. And into that silence came the voice. Maybe you've heard it. The one that sounds like you, only meaner. What's wrong with you? The people manage. Pull your socks up. You're such a disappointment, loser. A complete and utter failure. It was at that moment, as I'm lying there, that my phone buzzed. Bzzzt. It was Eric. He'd noticed that I'd gone offline, and so he'd sent me a message on Slack. Oi, you okay? What's up? Am I okay? No. I didn't answer. I couldn't answer. I just started to cry. This is what disconnection looks like. It's not a dramatic exit, it's a quiet unraveling. It's the moment when you vanish in your own life, and it is the silent killer of engagement. Thankfully, Eric is not one to give up. So he kept calling, bzzz, and calling, bzzz, bzzz. And as I watched his number coming up, I was torn. There was part of me saying, just pick up and tell him. And then there was that other voice, the mean voice, saying, don't you dare. So of course, when I did finally answer, the British stiff upper lip won out. I stuck to the script. No, I'm fine. I'm just tired. Thankfully, Eric wasn't buying it. He said, I can hear it in your voice. What's wrong? I'm not going anywhere till you talk to me. And that was the moment when my mask slipped, where everything, the stress, the emotions, the overwhelm, the guilt, those feelings of failure just came spilling out. Who's your Eric? Who's the person who notices if you drop offline unexpectedly? Who cares enough to call you and check in on how you're doing? If somebody has come to mind, I want you to get your phones out right now. Send them a quick message. Hey, I was thinking of you. Hope you're having a good day. It does not have to be poetry. But do it, because here's what I know. When we start to slide down that disconnection spiral, we tend to check out rather than check in on our relationships. And when you send that message, it does two things. It reminds them that they matter. And when you get the replies later on today during the happy hour or maybe tomorrow, it will remind you that you're not alone. That day on my patio was my wake-up call. I realized that I had been so busy taking care of my family, my team, my clients, my business, that I'd lost sight of me. And I know I'm not alone. The leaders I coach, leaders like you, tell me that they are continually being asked to do more, lead more projects, lead more teams, more. But while they're so busy showing up and taking care of everything and everyone else, who's taking care of them? Who's taking care of you? You have to take care of you. I have to take care of me so that we can better take care of each other. You, me, we. Better together. And so I made a shift from focusing only on why don't they seem to care and how do I get them to care, to how do I take care of me so that I can show others I care. It turns out that low engagement isn't a management problem. It's a human problem, and it's personal. For too long, we've been treating meaning and connection as two separate issues. Mission statements and rally cries over here, team building and trust falls over there. But meaning and connection are not two separate issues. They're two sides of the same coin. Meaning is knowing your work matters. Connection is knowing that you matter. And when you weave the two together, you get meaningful connectivity, an operating system for life's tapestry. Meaningful with a double L on purpose, because this is not empty rituals. These are the moments that fill you up with meaning and belonging. And connectivity, because that's the capacity for connection. It's the internal infrastructure that forms when you take care of yourself first. Because you can't connect with others if you're disconnected from yourself. And with meaningful connectivity, you don't just show up differently, you lead differently, you live differently, fully present in your own life, not just in the role that you're playing in everyone else's. And it's this shift to meaningful connectivity that brought those roughnecks together. It's the shift that brought me back to myself. So how do you create meaningful connectivity? 3 simple steps. Look up, show up, step up. And if you're thinking, sounds too easy, then good, because easy is what works when you are overwhelmed. Easy and 3 small steps, small enough for you to adopt when life is chaotic, but powerful enough to break the disconnection spiral. And the good news? You don't need more meetings. For all things workplace sanity, please, no more meetings. Meaningful connectivity, these 3 steps, they happen in the small, messy, gloriously human spaces between the work. So the first step, look up, answers that question, how are you? So before we go any further, it connects the heart to how you're feeling. So I want to know how all y'alls, this is about as American as I can get, how all of you are feeling right now. No sandbagging, not how did you feel this morning, not how do you think you should feel, how do you feel right now? So here's what we're going to do. I have to put the clicker down. You're going to show me, using your hands, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're feeling, where 1 is fried, faking it, and 10 is fired up, feeling it. So when I say ready, steady, go, subtext, ready, set, go, you're going to show me your number, and I'm going to squint into the gloom at the back. So this is just between you, me, and for those of you on the front row, the 500 people sitting behind you, but go for it. All right, ready, steady, go. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Yeah. Peace out. Thank you. You can put your hands down. From here, it looked like some of you were waving, jazz hands. Some of you were giving me the finger. No, I asked for a couple of peace signs. Here's the thing. Even in a room full of motivated leaders, we weren't all a 10. Heck, I wasn't a 10. And for those of you who only needed 1 hand, I just want you to know, I see you, I feel you. Off days are just a normal part of being human. The question is, what do you do with them? We all have tells, even if you don't think about it. And as I think about the weeks leading up to my patio, I had ignored mine. The being awake at 2 a.m. thinking things through. The being, I'll put it, feisty. Okay, a little bitchy. I have a sign that says, I'm not always a bitch, sometimes I'm a unicorn. Those weeks in the run-up, I was being a little too feisty at times. But here's what I know. When I get stressed, my inner 5-year-old comes out, and I'll either twist my hair or I'll twist metal ties into coils, and then when you stroke them, it's kind of soothing. Now, one coil is fine. I had a whole friggin' collection. And my other tell, stress eating. So as I gaze into the fridge thinking, what am I going to cook for dinner? As I'm cooking the mac and cheese, I munch my way through these white cheddar Cheetos. They are like catnip to me. God, I love these. And not the little bags. It's got to be the party bag. So we all have tells. The question is, what are yours? Do you even know what they are? So here's my challenge to you. Starting tomorrow, set yourself 3 phone alarms. And when they go off, bzzzt, ask yourself, what's my number? Do it for a week, and you're going to start to identify patterns, your tells, before you slide further down the spiral. But of course, knowing your number is not enough. Once you know it, what do you do with it? Well, you don't keep pretending you're fine. After my patio moment, I showed up to our next staff meeting and actually was honest. I told the team how I was feeling. Now remember, I have had decades of perfecting the British professional look. I believed that if I was anything other than cool, calm, and collected, that I would be confirming that I was a failure. It turns out that taking my mask off gave the team permission to do the same. And that one moment became a weekly practice that we call ripples and joys. And that's the power of show up, the second step. It's the head. It's where we make a choice to align our intention with our presence. And it answers the question, what can I do in this moment? Whether I'm a 4 or an 8, choosing a small reset, and probably no, not eating more Cheetos. But it might be sharing your number out loud like I did with my team. Maybe it's going for a walk between meetings or listening to your favorite jazz and your favorite piece of music while you work. The thing is, these small resets work when you do them. And with care and attention, they stop the slide in the moment. That's the payoff. When your intention and your presence aligns, you stop the slide and you reconnect with your purpose in this moment. And other people will feel that shift from faking it to feeling it. And if you've chosen to share your number out loud, you stop the stories. No more assumptions about why you appear off. You start to close the connection gap. And the biggest payoff? If you're doing your best in this moment, whether that is a 4 or an 8 or a 6, 7, then you can finally turn down that inner critic, the mean voice that's telling you that you're not enough. But, big but, and this is important, if you're stuck at a 4, if your off days are outnumbering your on days, then that is your sign that these quick resets alone are not enough. They can stop you in the moment, they can get you through an afternoon, but they can't hold you forever. And that's why we need step up. If look up is the heart, show up is the logic, the brain, the choice you make, step up is the body. It's the habits that fuel us and sustain us for life. It's also the humans who fortify us. Habits and humans. Now, we all know the habits drill. Eat healthily, Cheetos included. Exercise, sleep. The things that fuel me are Orange Theory. Who here is an Orange Theory fan? Oh, love it. I hate the treadmill, though. But rowing, oh, You hate the well, we can trade. Okay. So Orange Theory. New York Times spelling bee to queen bee every day. Oh, and live comedy or music shows. So what fuels you? Think about 2 habits, 2 hobbies that help replenish you. And do more of that. Easier said than done, though, isn't it? Just one more email, anybody? So schedule the time. Even 15 minutes can make all the difference. You just need to defend that time like it's the most important meeting of the day with the most important client, because it is, and you are. However, you can be going to Orange Theory, eating kale, running marathons, and still feel threadbare. Think about the executive I mentioned earlier, the CFO, efficient but lonely. That's what happens when you master the habits but neglect your humans. And here's the thing I now realize viscerally, is that life is not meant to be experienced alone. And leadership isn't meant to be carried alone. You need your people. The people who know you, who laugh with you, who help to make life and work a little lighter. Which brings me back to my team and Ripples and Joys. I mentioned that taking my mask off has morphed into this weekly practice that we have at SkyTeam. It's simple, but powerful. It's brought us closer together. Each of us takes a turn to share a ripple, a success that we've had in the last week, and something personal or professional that has brought us joy. Ripples and joys. It is so powerful, it is so meaningful that if our time is short, we'll cut the business agenda. But we never cut ripples and joys. Because this is where our habit and our human connect. So, as we start to come to the end of our time together, I don't want you just to hear about care and connection. I want you to experience it. Earlier, I asked, who's your Eric? So let's put the lights up just for a moment, because you're about to do an audience participation exercise. But I just want to know, I know I have one here, who are our Erics in the room? Just stand up for me if you are an Eric. Don't be shy. I know I've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4. What about an Erica? Oh, we've got a few ladies. Thank you. Eric and Ericas. Thank you. You are my heroes and heroines in name. I appreciate all of you. But here's what's going to happen. Earlier, when I asked, who's your Eric, some of you thought of someone and potentially sent a message. Some of you, maybe 1 in 5 of you, realized you don't have an Eric. Well, that's going to change right now. So here's what I would like you to do. I want you to think about a ripple, a success, something from today that has piqued your curiosity, that's just resonated for you. And going beyond today, something in the last week that has brought you joy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to turn, not at your table, because my guess is you're already sitting with your friends at work, but I want you to go and find somebody new and introduce yourselves. Hey, do the blink thing and get another connection, because there's books, and books mean prizes. But share your ripples and joys. Just the short story, a minute each, 60 seconds. And if you want bonus points, take a selfie together, post it to your platform of choice with the WICT hashtag. So, something that's resonated from today, a joy, personal or professional from the last week. Find somebody you don't know, introduce yourself, and share your ripples and joys. And I dare you, I double dog dare you, you all look beautiful. Take a selfie and post it so that WICT get a little of that love too. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes or so. I will start bellowing like a fishwife. Again, my other granny is now rolling in her grave. But I will bring you back at that point to close us out. So, stand up, mingle, ripples and joys. So what stood out for you from today?
Oh my goodness, everything.
And we should
I
take a
love the
photo.
connection.
Let's take one.
They're so
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, because then it shows. I'm so glad you came up. There you go.
and we look amazing.
We do. I love that colour.
I love the freaking energy and the
Am I?
stories and the mac and cheese.
I'm going to close with it. Look, there's the mac and cheese. It comes back to finish it all off.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't up here alone.
Mwah, mwah. Well, thank you.
I'll see you.
One minute. Fifty seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take your seats. When I'm working with teams and leaders, I will sometimes share that I work with 3 measures of time: metric, imperial, and mummy minutes. The last one being an arbitrary time, depending on how much I want to do the activity. But anyway, as you take your seats, think about this. 5 minutes ago, you were strangers. Now you have a person, a story, a connection. This morning, Gerard quoted, and so I had to write it down. We measure value not only in dollars spent, but in moments carefully chosen. So as we move into the networking hour, I challenge you to keep the momentum going. Keep meaningful connectivity in action, because that's how we together create cultures of connection. Not through elaborate gestures or grand gestures or elaborate programs, but one conversation, one relationship, one meaningful moment at a time. Remember my mac and cheese? The food was good, but the questions I was asking my boys, stale and reheated, much like the questions we started this session with. Why don't they care, and how do I get them to care? That was our old menu. Sorry, stage right. Old menu, back in time, goes that way. Disconnection, masquerading as connection. Our new menu, how do I take care of me so that I can show others I care? These questions aren't empty rituals, they're meaningful. They're the secret to closing the connection gap and what our teams, and if we're honest, each of us need most. Because when we're full, truly full, we don't just lead better, we live better, with confidence, with purpose, with connection. And that is the power of meaningful connectivity, and it beats fine every single time. Thank you.